Last week, Donald Trump had a rally in Tucson, Arizona that stirred up some local controversy in a largely left-wing city. But before the event, a Pima County supervisor posted a sign in Spanish on social media that read, "F you, MAGA, no more orange." But the real shock came after the rally when 20 attendees reported mysterious symptoms like blurry vision and facial swelling. With no clear cause, this strange illness has left many wondering what really happened. So I'm joined by Matthew Peterson, editor-in-chief for Blaze News, Steve Baker, investigative journalist for Blaze Media, and Christy Kelly, a political journalist who recently wrote about this for Arizona Globe. So Christy, let's start with you. Can you walk us through what happened at this Tucson rally?
Yes. So as you explained, it wasn't not an ordinary rally. I mean, there was a lot of consternation going into the rally. The namesake of the venue, Linda Ronstadt, published to social media a lengthy post stating her displeasure with Trump even being there. And then, of course, the board of supervisor. So like every rally, Trump had supporters behind him. Some Latinos for Trump were seated to his right. So if you're looking at the stage, they were actually going to be to his left if you're in the audience facing. So about, I would say, let's say 20 to 25 people were seated behind Trump. Of those that were seated behind him, I've spoken to 10 who have come down with some sort of mystery illness.
So what if these people told you?
Yes. So they said, immediately, of course, they're on the stage for anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. They're seated there on the stage, waiting for Trump to get there, the other dignitaries to speak. They didn't think anything of it. Everything in the rally went fine. Every single person that I spoke to said 20 to 30 minutes after they left the rally, they began to get blurry eyes, blurry vision. Some said their nose started stinging. They started experiencing redness that progressively got worse. I spoke to one lady. She said she even doused her eyes with milk because they were hurting so bad until she finally had to go to the ER. Of about 6 or 7 that I spoke to, they did end up in the ER and they end up being referred to their ophthalmologist. So it got to the point, Tucson is a fairly small city. So later in the night, the doctor, when the people came, the doctor was like, "Oh, you must have been at the Trump rally. We've had others come in." So of the 2 that I spoke to that were referred to their ophthalmologist that actually gave me the paperwork, they all indicated bilateral ocular chemical burn and that they were diffusing the eyes with eye drops to treat a chemical abrasion. So the emergency room physicians were less definitive. They were like, it could have been the exposure to the lighting. It could have been extreme exposure to lighting, or it could have been something, an irritant in the air. But I do have these 2 medical reports in front of me that do indicate that the ophthalmologist said it was some sort of chemical burn.
Now, is there any ongoing investigation for a potential source of where some of this could have come from, what this could have caused? Because now you're saying the doctors, they were aware of this as the people were even coming in.
Yes. So this is definitely where it gets a little tricky because the rally was on Thursday. Friday morning, some of these participants, they're all in this prayer group together. So this is how I even heard about it, because one of the people that was on the prayer call put it on social media, was like, "Hey, pray for, these people. They've been injured after attending the Trump rally." And so it was not their immediate concern to, alert the media or even to really tell anybody per se. They did call the people who placed them on the stage. So they were invited on the stage by local organizers. They called them. They've called the facility. I've called the facility. I have not heard a statement from either the facility or the Tucson police, who I know have also been alerted.
I want to go to Steve Baker because, I don't want to, speculate, but I do want to speculate. One thing that we should say, people out there are saying, and the reason in part this is drawing attention and is concerning is because there have been people talking about Havana syndrome and directed energy weapons out there, not just on an Alex Jones type show, but in the government itself. There's been congressional hearings. Steve, do you want to talk a little bit about that and maybe speculate a little bit on what people are saying out there?
Yeah, but before I do any speculation at all, I would like to ask Christy, first of all, is in these medical reports from the doctors, whether they were the ER doctors or physicians who have examined these patients afterwards, have they actually identified any chemical property whatsoever, either in their eyes, on their skin? So is there an actual identifiable irritant?
I don't believe so. There was just a summary that they were treating it for a chemical abrasion. And then there was also that it was an ocular chemical burn. But I am not a doctor. So it was a lot of medical jargon that is probably above my pay grade that was on the medical reports. So someone like yourself could probably look at it with a set of fresh eyes and maybe see something that I was not able to determine.
Would you say that it was a chemical-like burn, or were they emphatic that it was, in fact, a chemical source to this problem?
The exact wording, and I do have a JD, so I am very precise in the language, says they were diffusing the eyes for chemical abrasion and that they spotted the bilateral ocular chemical burn.
Well, see,
they did not use the term like a burn.
Yeah, and so with that information there, that would take me away from the speculation of any type of directed energy weapon. And these things are in the news. The CIA continues to deny their very existence, but there's actually been congressional hearings. In fact, there was a congressional hearings just this year on May 8th. 2024, in which experts, military experts, legal experts were bringing the issue of Havana syndrome before Congress because we have hundreds of citizens, not just our diplomatic corps, not just our special forces, not just our intelligence services around the world who are being affected by this mysterious illness, but also this is now cropping up and being used domestically. But that doesn't sound like what we're talking about in Tucson.
Yeah, and we should say, I mean, this is as a friend said today, isn't Havana syndrome just long COVID for people in the State Department who don't want to work, which is a terrible thing to say. But I get it. That's what I first thought too. But there's something very serious going on there. So I think that is one of the things that drew people's attention to this. I guess to rule that out, you would have to say you'd have to know that these were not just chemical-like effects, but that there was actually you have to get to the cause of what the chemical was. Yeah, is it true that Havana syndrome is like in these cases they would have chemical-like effects?
They would absolutely have exactly very similar effects to what Christy is describing right here. But it also includes confusion, severe headaches, things of that nature that you can get from chemical properties, exposure, but without the chemical element involved, because we're talking about microwave energy weapons, and we're talking about what they refer to as ultrasound weapons.
But it would involve a burn.
The microwave is in fact a burn.
That's what's interesting, Christy. Is it's curious. I mean, I assume that we'll know. I mean, they really need to get to the bottom of this, of what exactly this is. And I'm curious if you know. If anyone, is actually trying to investigate this. I guess it sounds like it's not clear at all. But I would imagine that maybe more people were affected. I think a lot of people, when they hear this, would say, "Well, did Trump? Was he affected, or was anyone else around just this particular group affected? Do we know?"
It appears that Trump was not affected. It also appears that there were several people that had contacts or glasses, and they were not affected. There were also people that were only on the stage for a partial amount of time, like say an hour or 20 minutes. They also were not affected. So it was only the people that were there for the entire duration, which was the 3.5 to the 4 hours, and that were not wearing contacts or glasses. Now, the participants were told that it was because of the lighting, that could have been the long exposure to the lighting. That could have been part of the reason. As far as the investigation, I do know that the Trump campaign here locally has been on top of it. They've been fielding all of the complaints, And I assume they are spearheading an investigation as to what is going on.